On this episode of Chiropractical, you'll probably recognize a familiar voice of Mike Whitmer. Mike Whitmer, or simply Whitmer as we tend to call him around NCMIC, is headed for retirement after 24 years with the company. Mike, an early congratulations on that upcoming retirement, and thanks for joining me one more time on Chiropractical.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
People have heard from you a lot. People have seen you a lot. You're everywhere, right? You're at all the colleges. You're at a host of continuing education events across the country. So I think you've really been a tone setter for us here at NCMIC. Let's give people a little more peek behind the curtain at Mike. When it comes to learning and understanding the history of chiropractic, what's really fascinated you the most about the field and the profession?
I kind of fell into this position and this profession 24 years ago. I was in a situation where I needed a job. And a friend of mine worked here at NCMIC in the HR department. She recruited me, and I've been so grateful to her ever since, because this really has been just the opportunity of a lifetime, not only from a work perspective and career perspective, and my ability in this position to really have a fun career. I've gotten to travel a lot. I've met so many wonderful people, developed terrific friendships. So that's really been just a wonderful, wonderful accident that I ended up here. I needed a job, and my friend worked in HR here who I'd worked with previously, and she recruited me, and here we are 24 years later. I can't believe I'm stepping into retirement, but it's just been a wonderful, wonderful ride. And, back to your question about, what's interesting about it is what's not interesting about the chiropractic profession. It's fascinating.
Absolutely.
Not only where we are today and where we're going, but it's fascinating where we've been. And I kind of had, when I fell into this job, I kind of glommed onto the history of chiropractic immediately because, first of all, I grew up just north of Davenport, Iowa, which is the Fountainhead, Palmer. And so I was aware of Palmer all my life. I didn't know really what it was or why it was in Davenport, Iowa. Now I know. And I've been fascinated with the history of chiropractic because I am kind of a history buff, but chiropractic history is Iowa history, and I'm an Iowan, and I find that history fascinating, interesting, and we always learn from history. So I think that there's always good lessons to glean from it. And the chiropractic profession just has such a wonderful, rich, interesting history. I've always wondered, why a suspense movie hasn't been made about this, because there really are just some fascinating, interesting stories, wonderful characters, and just really the story of how such an important, wonderful profession began from one person, in Davenport, Iowa, with this idea, and took it to this profession that is now wonderfully serving the world. Just fascinates me.
I think I've told you this story before, but I don't remember. So you talked about being on the road a lot, making a lot of friendships. I still remember the very first time I went out for an event. I was with a competitor. It was, I think it was probably around this time of year at the Logan Homecoming Symposium. I remember flying into St. Louis. It was 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. Of course, I'm the last one showing up because I don't know what I'm doing. But I walk into the event space. Everybody's table set up. The place is empty. I'm in the middle of setting up my table, and all of a sudden I get a tap on the shoulder, and it's you. I don't know who you are. I have no idea who you are, but you introduce yourself. You went out of your way to say hi to a guy from a competitive company, and I never forgot that. Every single event I saw you at from there on, I knew it was you. I could not have been more grateful just for the fact that you said hi, because I was coming out of practice into a world that didn't make sense to me, right? It was completely different. It was completely new. And you made that such an easy first 5-minute experience. I can't thank you enough for that. And I can't tell you how much of a pleasure it's been working with you for the last 3+ years because of the groundwork you laid in those few minutes at 9:45 at night in the ballroom at the Hyatt, I think it was, airport in St. Louis. So thank you.
I remember that event very well, actually. And I wasn't being nice or friendly. I just always like to check out the competition.
Well,
And
hey,
I am very glad to see that you have come to NCMIC for the past several years, and we're very glad to have you because obviously what I found when I checked that out was positive. The other thing that I remember about that event was going home because if you remember, we got a big rainstorm during that event,
yeah,
and I
the tent
drove.
flooded.
Yeah, the tent
Yeah.
flooded, and I drove, and when I got north of St. Louis, between St. Louis and Hannibal, Missouri, the roads were closed because they were flooded. They detoured us off of the 4-lane, and that's where the detour signs stopped. So
Ah,
I'm on my way home, and this is one of the benefits for our listeners that are not from the Midwest. The great thing about the Midwest is I knew that if I just kept heading north and west, eventually I would hit Des Moines. So it just took off and took back roads all the way. But I remember
yeah.
that, and I remember meeting you from that event and the storm that forced us out of the event space, which was a tent in the parking lot. So
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And see, I think, you talk about all the craziness at events. I didn't even know it flooded. I was in the middle of the tent, so everything was great for me. I remember you were kind of on an edge though, so you kind of became an island of your own at some point.
I was under a leak,
Okay.
if I recall correctly.
Yeah. Yep. Well,
Yeah.
again, I cannot thank you enough for that intro and into the business that is and that time, because that made a world of difference for me. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
24 years. It's been, I'm sure, a crazy time, a wild ride, so to say. But what are you really going to take away from your time here with us at NCMIC?
Oh my gosh, so many things. And I think that probably the main thing are the relationships that I've built, the friendships I've built. I've just had such a marvelous opportunity to be out there, to be in front of the profession, to be in front of students, and learn about the chiropractic profession, learn about the amazing difference chiropractic can make in people's lives. Yeah, I think that that's probably when we're looking at the big picture, that's probably the main takeaway for me over
Yeah,
24 years is what a wonderful profession, what a powerful profession
absolutely.
chiropractic is. It's become a part of my life. It will be a part of my life for the rest of my life, even if that's just I'm a patient. You know, um,
Yeah.
you know, it's become a part of my life, and it's an important part.
Thank you again for everything. I don't think I can truly kind of convey. You used this word before, and I think it's a perfect way to sum up the impact you've had on us here. You have been a foundational pillar of this company for your time here. You have been an amazing impact on doctors throughout their time, from students through their career. And we can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough again for the impact you've had on me, both in my chiropractic world but also, my world here on this side of the fence. So thank you for everything there. Thank you for your 24 years here with us at NCMIC, and thank you for joining me again today.
Thanks, John. It's been a pleasure to be here. It's been an opportunity of a lifetime, one that I can't quite still believe is coming to an end. But yeah, it's just been a wonderful 24 years. But I'm looking forward to the next chapter as well.